Hello and welcome to Soul GPS, the place where we learn to trust our intuition again after our narcissistic abuse in order to create the life of our dreams. Today I wanted to talk to you about trauma bond, what it is, why it happens, and 6 steps to overcoming it. First of all, what is trauma bond? It's also known as Stockholm Syndrome, and it occurs when we're so bonded, so connected to something that even though it causes us harm, we cannot easily disconnect. This is something very natural that happens after narcissistic abuse, and it can take months to overcome it. However, the more you work on it, the easier it will get. Something to remember with respect to how it forms. So as you know, cluster B personality disordered people such as narcissists, sociopaths, psychopaths, borderlines, histrionics, and so on, they manipulate by putting us through this polar opposite cycle of, on one hand, being super kind to us, very nice, very sweet, very loving, on the other side being cruel to us. It creates emotional dysregulation and stimulates us in a very negative way. Even though we may not perceive it as negativity, we may perceive it as intensity. I like to compare this to nicotine because it's very addictive. So the reason why I bring up nicotine is because on one hand, when you smoke, it stimulates you, it makes you more hyper, but on the other hand, it calms you down. So it has that double effect. And again, this hooks us in. Same thing can be with junk food, same thing with other drugs, perhaps with alcohol too. This is the hallmark of addiction. So they know this, narcissists know this, and they will put you through this cycle in order to make you feel really addicted to them. Once they feel like you're moving away, like you're doubting, like you're just not sure what they're doing, they're going to quickly switch around and either become super kind and super nice to lure you back in, or they're going to blame you and use all sorts of terrible negative manipulation tactics in order to guilt trip you, in order to make you feel like it's your fault, not them. So what this does is it entrains us into thinking really negatively about ourselves. So not only are they being an abuser, but because our brain absorbs and learns from our environment, we begin to copy and mimic that same thing that we're being put through on the outside within. So first, if you have gone outside, broken up with a narcissist and have put some space between you and have decided that you don't want that person in your life anymore, congratulations, you have made the first step in healing yourself, recovering from this abuse. It is going to take you places you have never been before. This feels horrible right now, but I guarantee you it is a blessing in disguise, because up until now, you did not realize why you were drawn into these kinds of people. You did not know consciously what the patterns were that you've been likely repeating all your life. So this is the beginning of really getting to know yourself. But before you enter the brighter pastures, which are definitely ahead, you're going to have to go through this really turbulent time of breaking the bond. So how do we do this? So moving after this and moving out of this, you need to remember something, which is, and really, I've heard this so many times when I was recovering, but it took me a while for it to really sink in. So I'm going to say this again. You probably know this already, but I'm going to say this again. Being with a narcissist or psychopath or any of those people will never bring anything positive into your life. These people are predators, and they are here to suck you dry. They exist in order to take from you as much as they can in form of supply, whether it is status, by just the fact that they are associated with you. You're probably a quality person, intelligent, beautiful person, and which is usually the people that they target. And so they feel, their own ego gets a boost by the fact that they're associated with you, or you have some form of a skill that they need to grow their business, or they find you very attractive and they want to have sex with you, or you're very successful at work and at everything you do, so they want you to basically work for them. And you probably have noticed looking back that the times when they're the kindest to you or when they were really realizing what the value that you're bringing into the picture. So you were working for them, you were cleaning for them, you were, adoring them, you were giving them all sorts of supply, all sorts of things that they were getting off at. So during that time, they were really nice to you. But whenever you asked for anything for yourself or anything in return, oh no, they had an issue with that. So yeah, which is how the conflict usually begins with them. And then eventually they just don't even care. They just devalue you straight to your face and or act out in most unimaginable abusive ways, which can range from being very subtly critical because by now they know your vulnerabilities, or they might be outright violent, hit you, rape you, do all sorts of things. These people know no boundaries. They love to break them. That's really basically what they do, because they themselves don't have any boundaries. So they think, like, why should you? They enmesh right in and walk into your temple with their dirty shoes. All right, so let's get into 6 ways to overcoming trauma bond. Before I say it though, there's something really important for you to remember, which is how the brain behaves when it's facing or dealing with trauma. So our brain evolved to protect us. The main task of our brain is safety, to keep us safe. This is a good thing when we're in dangerous situations that are acute. So we're getting attacked, or where we are, somebody says something really terrible to us, does something really mean on the street, or we get into like a car accident, something like that. We deal with it, we put it behind us, and then we continue on, and we kind of forget about it. There's still faintly there in the backs of our minds, but we don't worry about it too much. Well, it does the same thing with the narcissist. So it makes us want to forget the bad days, the bad stuff, but it wants to remember the good stuff. So you see this sweet and mean, this cruel and kind cycle. The brain wants to protect you by only remembering the times when the narcissist was kind to you, but discard and throw away all the bad memories. In this case, it works to our detriment, so you have to protect yourself against it. And most of the labor, because it feels like labor, overcoming trauma bond is really arduous process. It's going to feel like difficult work because you're essentially working against your instincts. Okay, so step number 1, I think it's the most powerful step to overcoming this abuse. If you do just this one thing, you will get over it, and that is truth. It is really, really understanding deeply, which means repetition, that what happened to you was absolutely fucked up. You've been through the ringer. That person is sick. They're horrible. You do not need them in your life. They do not deserve an ounce of attention from you ever again. Period. So you need to remember this, right? Of course, that I'm telling you this, like, oh yeah, you're thinking, yeah, it makes sense, of course, right? But the moment this video is over, you're likely going to look for another video or look for more information about this in order to stay in that consciousness, because we have, again, this tendency for it to fade away. We forget it, right? We forget it. So here's what you can do. You can write down all the things that the narcissist did to you that hurt you. And the more detailed, the better. Just try to keep it short so that, and the worst things, put them up front so that you can print that list, have it in front of you, and you may need to even read it 5, 6, 7, 8, 10 times a day. Does not matter. Just keep reminding yourself that this person is sick, is a psychopath, it's an energetic vampire, it's somebody who does not give a shit about you and what happens to you. All they care about is themselves. They do not deserve to be in your life. Step number 2 is mindfulness. Continue bringing yourself back into the present moment with whatever it is you do, whether you're chopping your veggies, you're having your drink of water, you're taking a walk, you're reading something, you're working, you're spending time with your child. Your brain, again, is going to keep tugging on you. It's going to try to pull you away from the present moment in order for you to keep processing this pain, because The brain is obsessed with pain, unfortunately, until we train it to be obsessed with pleasure, which is part of the work we're doing here with Trauma Bond. We're going to retrain the brain. This is the hardest stuff. This is the early difficult patch. Okay, so the other thing with with mindfulness is the fact that why it's so difficult and so easy to slip back into the thinking, the mulling over the narcissist, is because they are exceptional trance inducers. They have hypnotized you, he or she has hypnotized you into believing you're living in a fairy tale. You're living in this kind of different reality, in this bubble. So your whole body kind of like has been entrained into believing like you're not really here, like you're living in this almost parallel universe, which you're not. So coming back to this reality may feel kind of weird, like cold and strange, and things are just not as perfect, not as ideal as you had imagined it would have been with the narcissist. So again, you need to fight against that trance-inducing kind of foggy thing that's going to be constantly invading your consciousness. But the good side is you're going to train your brain to be more mindful, which was going to provide you with massive amounts of benefits later down the road. But let's not get ahead of ourselves too much. Let's just stick with this here. So step number 3 is pattern interrupt. This might seem like it's counterintuitive, but it really works. So for instance, you feel like crying, you've been crying all day, you just can't get enough. Of course, crying is good. Releasing your emotion after you have been through this abuse is a very, very positive thing. You want to encourage yourself to purge it, get it out, get it out. But if you've been already, you're just like, you've spent hours all morning, you may feel like maybe it's enough. Maybe it's time to do something else. Maybe your rational brain is telling you that. Follow that instinct. Well, it's not so much instinct. It's the instinct is to trust our rational brain, right? Because it too knows how to guide us out of oppression, and we need to focus on that oftentimes as well. So watch a comedy. Instead of crying, start to laugh. Instead of laying in bed, try to get up and stretch. Maybe take a shower. Maybe take a walk. Right? Take some deep, deep breaths. There's this Dr. Evian Gordon of Brain Revolution. Check him out. What he recommends is that breathing. There's breathing cycle, which is 6 breaths a minute. So 10-second breath, 5-second inhale, 5-second exhale. If you do 6 rounds of this, so 1 minute, your brain will start to release dopamine and oxytocin, which are both positive brain chemicals that will make you feel good. So you will start to change your brain chemistry within 6 breaths. It's miraculous. It's wonderful. Aromatherapy is another thing I used, which was just by inhaling a scent can immediately transport you into a different state of consciousness. Step number 3 is move towards good. Move towards what your body is telling you want. You may want to have a soup, have something to drink. Maybe you need to take a bath. Follow that instinct. Learn that, because that's how you're going to actually sharpen your intuition and learn what's good for you and practice self-care. Number 5 is be easy on yourself. It is really sometimes hard to bypass this step and continue beating ourselves up, because the narcissist has trained us to do that. So catch yourself when you're thinking negative. Forgive yourself. When you're self-loathing, take a deep breath, move forward, start over, try again. And finally, externalize your experience. Get it outside. Trauma lives in the dark. When you write things down or share with a friend or support group, you're going to feel much better. So this is it for today. Thank you so much for stopping by. If you have a question, please leave it in the comment down below. If you're interested in working with me, you can write me an email. I will leave it here as well. So send me an email and I can help you perhaps privately. And if you know somebody who could benefit from this video, please share it, give me thumbs up, and subscribe for more. Thank you and have a beautiful day.